Mr. George Clooney.
He's off the train. And this is my theory when I saw that. Okay, so George Clooney said Biden's got to drop out with no inside information at all, because it can get a little touchy here. I feel like this is the Jeffrey Katzenbergs of the world calling on, their celebrity friends to say, hey, we need to put more pressure. Like Jeffrey Katzenberg releasing a statement is not going to do much, but George Clooney doing it might.
Yeah, because it's no secret George Clooney and Barack Obama are like besties. You presume that he would have called Barack Obama and said, hey, I'm about to do this. Or vice versa. They called on him.
Yeah, they said, hey, you're about to do this.
You're about to do this.
Because Barack publicly supported Biden after the debate, right?
Yeah, I think the problem was polling came out. That's what all like the pundits were saying. If the polling comes out and it's like pretty clear he doesn't have a shot, you'll see the party turn. But it seems too late.
Cash.
Ladies and gentlemen, group chat.
Cash.
It's $1 trillion. Hot.
Hey, Anand.
What's going on?
Just the two of us today.
Yeah.
Where's Dee? New York?
He's in New York.
Okay.
His home away from home.
Home away from home. I can only imagine. I mean, that guy's logging some serious flight miles.
Yeah, I actually don't know how he has the stamina to be traveling the way he is right now.
Yeah, I don't either. I definitely respect it. He definitely has not slowed down on his, I think we've all been through the phase of like flying around the country or the whatever to go see buyers and go on trips and whatever, but he's still going like he's 22.
Yeah, maybe he's inspired by Taylor Swift, because most of the travel that I've had that has been in spurts, it's not continuous.
Right. Yeah, I'm not conditioned anymore. If I fly to New York, it takes me a couple days to get on track.
Oh, yeah. And especially if you're doing the red eyes like the psycho he is.
Right. And we saw him on, what day was that? Saturday? We saw him on Saturday. We went to Rice's birthday celebration, which was incredible. And then he left early from there to go see Blink-182. This guy's 22 years old, Blink-182.
And I'm assuming he took a red eye Sunday night?
Ridiculous. Well, how about Rice's? It was fun to see the whole crew there.
Yeah, it was a blast.
Thriving. Risa she just lives well, like meaning like she does life well, it seems. Great friends.
And like her family's around.
She just took her family to Paris, she posted. And when I left the party, they were all dancing. And I mean, the whole kitchen turned into a dance party.
Yeah, I'd imagine they went pretty late. But it was a lot of fun. And I thought there's a couple pictures. I think you posted one and she posted one of Mente, Risa, and us two.
Right.
And in the conversation, we were joking how it's like, we should have just had microphones and done a podcast.
Right.
She brought up some things that I say that she disagrees with, and it was just fun.
Yeah, it's a wild thing, especially for me, because I'm a little less out and about than you are, is there's so many people that we're friends with that listen to us every week or twice a week and feel like we talk. And we don't, I'll run into someone I haven't talked to in a year and a half, and they'll be like, oh, the fucking blah, 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 and mention something from the podcast. And they'll be like, oh, I feel like I talk to you every week. And that's kind of what happened with Risa. She had, responses to things that we had said. And we just literally sat down and like picked up the conversation.
Yeah.
Like she was there. But it's a weird side effect of podcasting, I feel like, especially the way we do it. Because we do it very like, this is how we talk in private.
Right. Maybe a little more colorful, but yes, for the most part. Right. But yeah, no, I've definitely had friends that I haven't seen, like you said, in a year, and they just feel like, I know everything about your life.
Right. It's cool. But I do encourage those people to reach out and say, hey, because as of right now, our communication is a one-way street.
Yeah.
So yeah.
A lot of,
I got a text this morning from a guy I've seen him. Probably haven't seen him for a year. Probably a year and a half. And I used to work with him. He's at an agency, and he just texted me, "I love Group Chat Pod." And it's just obviously he was listening to the last episode, and I don't know. It's just funny. It's just funny the way that we, if we did like a comedy podcast or something more formal, I don't think we'd get that. But the fact that it feels like you're just sitting, hanging out with us is that's what we get.
Yeah, I think next we have to address the elephant in the room, Mr. George Clooney.
He's off. He's off the train.
Yeah.
I think this is my theory when I saw that. Okay, so George Clooney said Biden's got to drop out. Now, with no inside information at all, because it can get a little touchy here, I feel like this is the Jeffrey Katzenbergs of the world calling on, their celebrity friends to say, hey, we need to put more pressure. Like Jeffrey Katzenberg releasing a statement is not going to do much, but George Clooney doing it might. It just feels like they're trying to call out the big voices.
Yeah, because it's no secret George Clooney and Barack Obama are like besties.
Right.
And you presume that he would have called Barack Obama and said, hey, I'm about to do this.
Right.
Or vice versa. They called on him.
Yeah. They said, hey, you're about to do this.
You're about to do this.
Yeah. Because Barack publicly supported Biden after the debate, right?
Yeah, he defended him rigorously. I think the problem was polling came out. That's what all like the pundits were saying. If the polling comes out and it's like pretty clear he doesn't have a shot,
right,
you'll see the party turn. But it seems too late. Like, who can you run in 3 months to get the fundraising advantage that Trump's now already going to have? Right. Go to the battleground states and like just camp out there for, you literally have 3 months.
Well, this is what I will say, though, is I think that if you go by the strategy in 2020 of anyone but Trump, and even Joe Biden was enough to be an anyone but Trump. Now, I don't think he is. But I think there's a lot of people that are on the fence that are like, God, anyone but Trump, but I don't know if I can vote for him. And I do kind of feel like if you put in someone else, even, like a Gavin Newsom who people know and some people trust, you might get that anyone but Trump vote back.
Yeah, Derek Thompson of The Atlantic, he's like a pretty famous writer.
Yeah.
He did a tweet thread saying this is clearly, look, he may know people, I have no idea what his political connections are, but he's pretty down the little left leaning for sure. He's definitely left leaning.
Right.
And he basically said what this indicates is the party establishment has gone to surrogates like Clooney and said, you got to say it, because no one wants to go against a sitting president. Because they're all up for re-election, at least in the House. And then obviously I think it's a third in the Senate every election cycle. So there's definitely backroom dealing going on. I don't know what, and I don't know how. Even the Pod Save America guys turned on Biden.
What did they say?
They were respectful. They basically said, we disagree that he should be the candidate.
Right.
But they said it in very, those guys are really smart. They said it in a very articulate, eloquent way. But if you read through the lines, you could kind of cut through it.
It's just so wild. I'm far from knowledgeable about historical presidents and how they treated these situations. But to your knowledge, has it ever happened before where like it seems pretty obvious that the party and the majority thinks you should drop out and a president just won't? Well,
you could point back to 2016 Trump. Trump had the entire party against him.
Right, but that's different,
just waltzed through.
But that was his whole storyline, was like, I'm an anti-party guy, drain the swamp. Biden is a party guy for life.
Yeah.
it's just wild because it really seems, I guess, is it Occam's razor that the simplest answer is the one? So
the
to
most
me,
obvious answer is the right answer.
To me, what Occam would say here is this guy is just delusional.
Yeah, I mean, I got an email I'm on like the DNC list,
right?
And email, the stock automated email that they send.
Yeah,
and it's like from Joe Biden,
right?
And
says I'm not leaving with the Wolf of Wall Street. It is exactly that. Oh,
it was like hours after Clooney came out and said it.
Well, it does seem to me, once again, mild conspiracy theory, that Clooney would be like the next step, where the party or the elites in the party say, hey, we need some public facing people here to apply more pressure. So maybe there'll be more. And
you got to think the inner circle of the president, right? So all the admin staff, the speechwriters, the cabinet, their earning potential dramatically decreases if he's not the next 4 years and they hang along the ride and they get more and more important. Like, look Jill. At the Pod Save.
Think about Jill.
The Pod Save America guys, no knock on them, but they weren't like Secretary of Defense or, Jon Favreau was a speechwriter.
Right.
Tommy Vittori, I think, was in the national security arm of the government. And
right.
They now are making a fortune off a podcast.
Right.
It's because they got famous being attached to Obama.
And also think about, like, there's such a rare win. Like, what are the speechwriters doing 8 years after a presidency if you aren't able to start a podcast? What are you doing? Giving talks are you even giving talks? What do you do?
You there is one angle. Before they started the podcast, I know Jon Favreau was basically getting paid by Silicon Valley CEOs like Travis Kalanick,
right,
Brian Chesky, to basically do the messaging, how to talk to lobbyists, and it's pretty lucrative,
right?
Because they know you have all the connections,
right,
and they know you're excellent at what you do, and they had an advisory firm, and that's what he was doing. So it's not like confidential information,
right?
And then they decided to go back into politics.
Yeah, they knocked it out of the park. It's just funny to me how it is, like, you're right, like, the incentive for all of those people is obviously to stay in the White House, because the moment your term's up, it's just like out to the hustle. You just got to try to put some shit together.
And, Barack Obama was so goddamn famous,
right,
that you didn't need to be that senior to ride the train. And I think Clinton was the same.
Right.
Bush clearly had his defense homies.
Biden's going to be tough. You know what I mean? What do? You go to make the rounds at senior citizen homes and be like, listen, I have propped up a man to be president for 4 years. Give me a shot.
Man, it's sad being a Democrat to just see, like, the fact that we even got here. We talked about this ad nauseum.
Yeah.
It's just,
it's funny to me.
How many people were asleep at the wheel behind the scenes? Forget him and his wife, who obviously want to stay in power.
Yeah. It wasn't Sleepy Joe. It was Sleepy Party.
Yeah.
They were all asleep.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It just, you know what? This is one of those moments, I have a lot of them, where, like, as you become an adult and, we're very fortunate that we learn a lot every year. We see how things work. We learn from people. We talk to a lot of people. As you become an adult and more have more experience, you really start to learn how nobody knows what the fuck they're doing. Like, the presidency seemed, when I was young, like the most dialed thing. The best people, the most important job, all this shit, where you would think, using that line of thinking, that they would have prepped for a new president for this year. Somebody would have been, flawless handoff. Everything's great. Instead, it's like everyone's scrambling and like calling each other with a few months left and like, hey, maybe George Clooney will help. Maybe, I don't fucking know. How do we get this guy to step down? Like, it is a mess. It's like when we saw what happened at OpenAI, it's like, that's what's happening there.
So I think really what it is the people that are closest to the president or the leading candidate are so they're so obsessed with power that they're willing, if they have the guy that they can control. So like George Bush, for example, he wasn't the most talented candidate. He actually was a pretty, if you look at what he got the country into, pretty bad president. But enough people in the back room were like, this is a guy we can control. We're going to get Halliburton the contracts. The military industrial complex is going to skyrocket. He's going to get into every war we want him to. He's going to create this whole entire economy. And that's the only explanation why they would get behind him. Because they're like, we can control this guy. And I feel like the people that were around Biden thought the same thing and just overlooked that he wasn't, mentally fit
too
enough
controllable.
To
be the guy. They got too, they got too sloppy. Like, you got to control, but like, I feel like even Obama was that for the party, even though he was a great face and spoke really well and all that stuff. Like, you can't go literally like 100-year-old Weekend at Bernie's man. Like, the guy has to have some abilities, Yeah. And like, to me, George W. is about as far in modern times as you could go into, he would stumble a lot at speeches. He would, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me, can't get fooled again. He has those like famous like stumbles, but he seemed coherent.
So on Twitter, they were like, tell me your favorite Clooney story. And this is a really good one. I saw it. And these are his quotes. So it's not like, this is Clooney's quotes. So it's not made up.
Right.
So apparently Clooney and Leo met in Cabo or ran into each other. And then I think they both have, obviously he has a place in Como and I think Leo does too. And they were talking about like how they play pickup basketball. And then Leo goes to Clooney. We take this very seriously because basically like, you're like in your 50s. And if you want to play with us, like you better be good. And Clooney was just like, look, I'm not going to claim I'm the best, but I played high school. I've played my whole life. Whatnot. And they played pickup. It was Leo. And in the article, it's a guy named Danny Clooney calls him a nightclub kid. I'm sure one of our friends knows who this Danny is. I don't know. They didn't say the last name. And Clooney and his boys, his 50-year-old boys, beat him 11-0, 11-0, 11-0.
No way.
Back to back. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Is that something that's trending because of this?
Because his name is everywhere on Twitter. So people are just sharing old quotes and clips. I don't know when it was from, but these are Clooney's quotes. So poor Leo catching 11 OLs. I played basketball until I was 30. It's really hard to lose 11-0.
Right. It's very hard. Especially like if it's not pros against, what I'm saying? Like, it's still George Clooney and a pack of 50-year-olds. We
played in college. My roommates, everyone was pretty good, but we were like, my roommate was a small Asian guy. I'm not that tall. My other roommate's like 6'2", Asian guy. And we would play against like the college football players at USC and we wouldn't lose 11-0. We're not beating them.
Right.
But
we could sneak a layup in. Jesus, you don't get one free throw? Nobody fouled? All right. Well, listen, we'll see what happens. To me, this feels like the beginning of like a new strategy. I wouldn't be surprised if, The Rock is next to speak out. But what a show leading into. We are down to the wire here.
Down to the wire. I can't imagine all the calls that are happening today.
Right. And I'm going to be honest. Me too. I thought like we would get blockbuster entertainment for the back half of this year. I'm starting to think we really won't. The entertainment is people trying to get Joe to step down, but Trump doesn't even have to do anything. I thought we'd get like prime Trump mudslinging craziness. He's just
Trump's
chilling.
just sticking to his playbook.
Yeah.
Just being entertaining and, just riling people. I saw Dana White is he's the speaker before Trump at the RNC.
Yeah, it's amazing. You want to know what else? I don't know if you saw this. There's a clip of Putin saying like that he heard Trump say that he would end the war in Ukraine at the debate. And Putin said, obviously we don't know the terms he's proposing, which is the most important part, but we're very, very open to that conversation. It's not good. Not good for old Joe. Anywho, sleepy Dems. What's going on with Jay Powell now that we're on kind of government stuff? I saw he did an update. He did a Congress testimony. He did these things, but I admittedly I sort of missed it. Market's ripping, but I know obviously, is it that we're looking at things are maybe looking good for some rate changes in the near future?
Yeah, pretty much as we've talked about here, he's pretty been steadfast on
2%.
No rate cuts.
Right.
And 2% inflation. And he went in front of Congress and testified that he's open to rate cuts this year. So it's this classic, there's no playbook there either.
Right.
Every time he talks, he says something different.
Right.
So what changed when inflation really hasn't come down, but now you want rate cuts while the market's ripping?
I believe he leaned on wage growth, looking
not as good. He doesn't want you to make money. Powell doesn't want you to make money.
That's what we got to remember here is there is a guy who is in charge of a fuck ton of money and how it moves, who wants things to be worse.
Yes.
And is engineering purposefully an outcome where that, a lot of people are saying like recession, oh my gosh, or this is soft, that's soft. Like the guy with his finger on the, financial nuclear codes is still waiting for more pain.
And I believe in Congress, he testified, someone can fact check me, but I saw Zero Hedge post it, that he hasn't spoken to Biden since 2022.
Yeah.
How is that possible?
Well, I don't believe that. Like you look at all those fucking emails from Fauci of like, oh, don't say we talked to, oh, you have a person. Like maybe there's a guy that talks between them so that they can always claim they've never talked.
Yeah, that's probably it.
Some
fall guy.
There's a fall guy. There's a fucking guy trying to hide his, emails from FOIAs that's connected.
Because they don't want to be known as like colluding on.
Right.
Because they're supposed to be independent, right? The Federal Reserve.
Right. Well, whatever, we'll take it. The market is ripping.
Yeah. Tesla's on fire.
Tesla, I feel like I'm going to regret the Tesla. That's going to be the new Meta, I think.
Yeah. From its lows, I think it's up 50% in the last 30 days.
Right.
And at that market cap, that's pretty ridiculous. It's similar to what Meta did.
That's what I'm saying. We talked about it being a buy.
We're idiots.
We're fucking idiots, dude. In January 23, it was at 113. So it's up more than double since that. 147 in April.
Maybe we should just be public equity investors. Just raise a hedge fund.
Well, I'm telling you, we have the thing. We just are too fucking lazy to do it, which is simply to start a Robinhood and put what we say into it. It's funny because I'm not kidding you, especially this happens in different places, but especially at my gym. There's just a few guys, mainly my trainer, has started doing what we're talking about, like just putting little bits into the things we mentioned. And the guy's just making a killing. And he's like, I'll go in there. And he's like, you see Tesla? You know, and I'm like, God damn it, dude. We're just talking about it. We don't do anything. This guy's made a killing on NVIDIA.
Oh, I bet. I mean, that is the home run of all home runs. I know people who put into the Ozempic drug maker, Nova, whatever. Right. They made a fortune.
Yeah, Nova Nordisk. Yeah. And I even saw people posting or sending me, what is it, P&G? What's in?
Yeah.
Procter & Gamble? Yeah. So, hey, here we are. We're going to be broke idiots by the end of this. The only podcast where our whole audience has double the net worth of us. Okay. Speaking of net worth and it going down, Nike's having some trouble.
Can I just point out one contrarian thought that just came to my head?
Please.
So during 2020 and 21, we had all the stimmies from both parties.
Right.
Right. Inflation was rampant, but everyone felt rich.
Right.
So how it was only not sustainable because the Fed just started slashing rates or raising rates. Sorry.
Right. So here's what, in my mind, here's what happened is if you gave everyone $2,000 today, and what would happen is dumb shit like NFTs would start creeping up out of nowhere. So now you have $2,000 of discovered money, which is a shit ton for most people. Now they've put it into some wonky investment that has doubled. Everyone feels rich. The problem is all those things tank, no more stimmies. You're back to just regular life. Like I think most people are just sort of habitually living check to check, meaning whatever your pay is, your lifestyle is exactly check to check. And so you feel broke, often. Whereas if you just drop them $2,000 and a Bored Ape, you feel rich. I don't think it takes a lot to make everyone feel rich, is I guess what I'm saying.
Yeah, I guess
$2,000 in a bad investment, you feel like.
If you keep giving the stimmy and these like low interest rate environments, even though there is nonsense that gets pumped in, consumer demand is off the charts.
Right.
Everything's off the charts.
I mean, look,
people
think about it this way.
To restaurants.
If you gave everyone $1,000 DraftKings credit at the beginning of every month, for the first week of every month, everyone is in the best mood.
Yeah.
Everyone's rich.
And then they lose it all.
So maybe we do something like that. $1,000 Robinhood credit beginning of every month.
As long as it gets recycled into the economy.
Right.
Like the NFTs and crypto don't, because that's not the real economy. But if it's going to restaurants and shopping,
right,
basic goods, like we have friends in the industry, they'll tell you today 21 was the best year they've ever had.
Right. It's so funny to me how great 2021 was, like in hindsight, because when you were in it, it was still like the end of COVID. It didn't feel that great. It just felt a little crazy.
Yeah.
But it was great for almost anyone in business.
Yeah. I mean, everything was on fire. It was Omicron that screwed everything up.
Yeah. Okay. Nike. Trouble.
Yeah. So they seem to be a dumpster fire.
Right.
And Nike's one of those brands that you never would think would have issues. And sales are down. They're bringing back former exec to get a better relationship with retailers. So they're doing a collab with Stussy, and Dee retweeted it. I don't know if you saw. Has Nike just given up? I don't know what Stussy is in the zeitgeist of the culture, but
I mean, they've just been doing it. The thing is, I feel like they do one every year, but it's just getting highlighted now because they should be focusing on bigger things. I feel like they missed a lot of opportunities, Like I just feel like there was a lot of, whether it's like, a lot of people said that about like Steph Curry. They said that about Kanye. they said that about these different opportunities that I just feel like they missed. And then obviously, it mentions it in this article, but like everywhere I go, especially airports, everybody's wearing Hokas.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that Nike, who is undeniably the biggest marketed running brand, is just getting smoked by some ugly pillow shoes because their running shoes are just bad. It just feels like they almost like they got too comfortable being so big, and they overlooked a lot of emerging things.
Yeah, like Aloe. They
They didn't lean into yoga hard enough.
I mean, between Lululemon and Aloe, that's billions of dollars.
Think about all the people, we've talked about this for years. Think about all the people you see walking around wearing activewear, even people who might not work out. I never see them wearing Nike activewear.
No chance.
It's like Aloe missed.
You're wearing a Nike hat, right?
Yeah, it's all my golf shit though.
And
I just say that's a lazy purchase. Like for me, for golfing, Nike's an easy one-stop shop to get everything I need.
I mean, even during post-pandemic, young males thought it was cool to wear the Aloe hat.
Oh, it was the TikTok uniform.
Because they did all those TikTok houses, right? They sponsored them.
Whatever they did, everybody was wearing it. It's just cool. Everywhere I go, everyone's wearing Aloe. And I heard that, who did I hear that from? Maybe it was Michael at Rice's, that Lululemon's, even their men's business is growing rapidly. Because at the party I was wearing Lululemon pants, also my golf choice. And there's just all these people making all of these strides and innovations that they're just not.
Yeah, I think big companies that are not big tech just get lazy. And big tech businesses are so run like well-oiled machines that they're not subject to consumers being out of favor.
Right.
You could say the only one would be like Facebook, Instagram because of TikTok, but they still haven't really felt any real pain.
Right. It's just wild to me that Nike is so massive and should not have. It just, like we're saying, it feels complacent. There's all these angles that they got chipped away at from that they just shouldn't have. They're so much bigger, but I can't think of anything like exciting that Nike has done in quite a while now.
So how we said they missed out on Steph Curry, Anthony Edwards, who you don't even need to be a basketball fan.
I know,
is the great hope for American NBA stars that he's our only shot once LeBron and Steph leave. Yep. He just signed an annual 8-figure deal with Adidas today.
What the fuck are you doing? What are
I don't know if it's the 8-figure 10 million a year, 30 million a year, 20 million, whatever it is, you pay him. He's going to be the face of the NBA.
Absolutely.
And you don't even need ratings to be up because everyone sees him on TikTok.
Yeah, man. I can't understand. The fact that he's not a Nike athlete is crazy to me. Because I also feel like if you put equal dollars on the table for all of these people, I believe Nike would be the top choice for the athlete still.
Yeah, everyone grew up on Jordan. So it's funny. There's a ton of clips for Team USA basketball. They're practicing in Vegas before they go to Paris for the Olympics. And it's all the big stars, Steph Curry, LeBron, Anthony Edwards, et cetera.
Right.
And now that we're talking about it, so before they actually scrimmaged, everyone had to put their uniform on. Yeah. But Steph was mic'd up, and I just realized he had his jersey on, like just hanging like a cape, and just had like his USA basketball shirt. Yeah. And I'm sure he's doing it as a company man for Under Armour. Like, I'm not getting Nike this many views. I know everyone's going to see these clips.
Right. I'm sure.
But yeah, it's fascinating.
I mean, there was even a moment, because I'm a little bit tapped into, I'm trying to be like the world of like all these streamers and stuff, and the biggest streamer is one of them is this guy Kai Cenat, who.
Oh yeah, he's everywhere.
And he was doing a stream with Kevin Hart, and Kevin Hart brought him a bunch of Fabletics stuff. And literally, I have no idea what happened exactly, but on the stream, he puts on all of Kevin Hart's Fabletics stuff. His phone beeps. He checks his phone, and he starts taking it off and putting on his own Nike stuff. Where obviously a manager.
He's a deal.
He must, I don't know that it's public or whatever, but like it was an obvious, like I feel like if you're in one of those deals like Steph, I'm sure they tell you like, hey man, obviously it's on the jersey, you got to wear it, but like don't, wear it the least you can.
Yeah, I remember Shaq during the Lakers run in the early 2000s. Yeah. He was a Reebok guy.
Yeah.
And he would come out with no warm-ups because he didn't want. I'm sure Reebok was like, you got to sell you a little cold before the game. You can't be warmed up with the pants and the jacket.
That's what I'm saying. These guys like go to war for their sponsors, like the fact that they would miss Anthony Edwards is insane to me.
Yeah, that means they're optimizing for cost cutting and expanding profit than actually being more relevant.
Right. Makes no sense. Okay. Our last news story is, they did a $20 minimum wage increase for fast food in California. And we're now seeing all these stories of how the businesses are responding to that increase. There's a pretty common thought that like that strategy doesn't work because the employers just respond with ways to keep the cost down. And that seems, they raise prices or they lean on technology or whatever. That seems to be what's happening here.
Yeah, I think it's really tough for fast food to make, like if you're a franchisee, paying $20 an hour is like meaningful. And I'm all for wage growth and everyone getting a fair wage, but the economics also have to make sense.
Right.
That's why McDonald's raised their prices. Like what's a Big Mac? It's something extraordinary.
Yeah.
And it's, I'm sure, wage, insurance, rent.
It's just not that simple. It's just not like, raise minimum wage and everything's fixed. Like it's just classic, politics, not understanding business.
And I'm sure a lot of fast food chains are going to start shutting down locations in California. They'll expand elsewhere.
Yeah. Or you'll see more of those, like McDonald's has a lot of those like screen ordering stations where you don't need an employee, and there's a million ways around it. But everyone always says when you do that, the cost gets passed on in some way or another to the customer, or the burden does. Either they close the store or they raise the prices. And, California notoriously isn't great at understanding business.
I heard this is for LA people, which LA people would appreciate this. Mm-hmm. There's a restaurant for people that don't live in LA called La Scala in Beverly Hills.
Yeah.
And it's like as famous of a restaurant as you can get over the last few decades.
Right.
They have a chopped salad that everyone eats. It's like
great.
The Hollywood elite lunch.
Yeah.
I don't know the reasons for it, but I was told that they're considering first just extremely limiting the order hours and focus on delivery because everyone just buys that salad for lunch and it's to go delivery app or whatever. Mm-hmm. And then ultimately shut down and just be a delivery app model.
Damn.
Can you imagine La Scala and Beverly Hills shutting down? There'd be riots.
Right. There'd be very well organized riots with a lot of wealthy people. Yeah.
I'm sure this plays into it, right? I don't know what the owner's reasons are, but I'm sure having to pay, these minimum wage at this rate and insurance and all the things I just said.
I'm sure all of it. It's not I just feel like the government of California is not doing a lot to make life easier for business people.
Owners of businesses aren't in the business of shutting down high cash flowing businesses.
Right.
And even if they're older and not as engaged, they find someone else to run it and keep the money train going.
Right.
This goes for all industries.
Yeah, that's a universal fact. Okay, well, we'll see what happens. There's a lot more because Jay Powell is not satisfied. He wants more blood and guts.
More blood and guts. He's getting it. I mean, have you driven on Cannon?
No.
Like half the street is vacant.
I know. I see that. To be honest with you, I haven't been on Cannon, but I see that. I just see that more and more. Like, you know, I go to North Hollywood to the gym. I see whole plazas kind of closing. You know, there's a Walgreens over there that's closed. There's a little plaza across the street that's closed, boarded up, spray painted. It's just more and more everywhere. It's not just low income areas. It's just everywhere. You can tell people are tapping out.
Yep.
Jay Powell. Come look at, come drive around North Hollywood, Jay Powell. Maybe you'll be satisfied. All right. Winners, losers, content. Who's your winner for the last week, Anand?
My winner is Roger Federer.
Yeah. What happened? He beat the guy and shit on the crowd. What happened there?
No. That was Novak Djokovic. So Federer's retired. Right. But I'm sure he's the king of Wimbledon. He's won the most, and Wimbledon's going on right now.
Yep.
So I think his brand partners and his team are taking advantage of, like, this is your turn. Even though you're retired, this is your tournament.
Mm-hmm.
Because he went to the Eras Tour, and he got the Taylor Swift selfie. Got the goat
at Wimbledon.
It. No, at the tour.
Oh, at the tour.
Whatever city it was in, and from what people say, it's pretty rare that she takes a picture with anyone before or after the tour, because it's such a draining tour focus. And like the famous story was Travis Kelce was trying to meet her the first time she played in Kansas City, and she shined him. And now he's like the first couple. Right. And her excuse was, I have to save my voice. I don't talk to people after the show. So only 2 pictures at the actual concert, not outside. It was Vanessa Bryant and her daughters. Right. And now Roger Federer. I could be missing others of other really famous people, but you didn't see her with Prince William. Right.
I wonder who goes to her. Like, what is the operation of, like, okay, here's the list. Who makes it? Because, if there's Vanessa Bryant and Roger Federer, there's probably 5 other people that were on the cusp. Like, someone's got to weed out a very A-list group.
Yeah, because that London show had Tom Cruise, Ashton Kutcher, the Kelsey Bros,
right,
Prince William, and I didn't see selfies with them.
Right. Yeah, well, props to Federer. And just call back to my mistake, but that Djokovic moment was great.
Yeah, it was awesome. He basically told the whole crowd, "You can't touch me.
Right.
I'm too strong for this," because they were booing him. But that's also obviously separate from all his talent and endurance and skill. People credit his mental toughness in the 5th set. You're just not beating him.
Right.
Like, if he has an off day, you might beat him in 3 or 4 sets. But if it goes 5, he's winning.
Right.
Because that's when it's nut crunch time, and doesn't matter how well you're playing the first 4, you might crumble. And there was a great 60 Minutes interview how he this is like 2 months ago, how he like analyzes the players on the change.
Right.
He goes, if I see them a little tired, if I see them a little down, I just pounce. So he's like playing the mental game as much as he's playing the actual sport.
I love it.
And he prides himself on it. And the other Roger Federer win is they just released an On commercial. Speaking of losses, Nike let Federer go.
Right.
And he got equity for On. And him and Zendaya have this epic commercial.
I know.
So well done.
That's another one. We didn't even mention On when we were talking about all the people chipping away at Nike.
So God, how he's winning.
Yeah, good for him. My winner is Elon, who won his $500 million lawsuit for letting 6,000 people go when he joined Twitter or when he took over Twitter. Look, I don't want to be insensitive, but I think the lawsuit was mainly because they only received a month's severance and they wanted more. And I just admire the tough decision and the strong example that Elon set by doing what needed to be done to try to make the company profitable. And of course, you're going to get hit with these lawsuits and all these things, but he won. He's $500 million richer today.
Yeah, good for him.
Good for Elon. Who's your loser?
Man, I hate to say it, Drake again.
Oh,
I think he was one of your losers. So yesterday,
he might be a loser for a long time.
yesterday Canada played Argentina. Whatever tournament.
Yeah.
And Drake posts that he bet 300,000 on Canada to beat Argentina. Right. Fair, he's Canadian. The entire Argentinian team, after beating Canada, got in a huddle and blasted Not Like Us.
No, they didn't.
I mean, this got to Argentina. We're not talking about Los Angeles.
This is what I'm saying, bro. Like when you take an L that bad, it just piles on.
And they had kids in Disneyland getting in a circle singing Not Like Us. There's fifth graders singing it. There's second graders singing it. There's weddings singing it. There's kids going into OVO stores. I saw a clip of like 7 kids just with their iPhones out, just crip walking and dancing in the OVO store. This is tough, man.
It's tough. It's such a good song too, you know?
It is. And I mean, even LeBron showed up to the show. He's a Drake compatriot.
Great guy. Yeah.
And you saw how happy he was?
I know. How could you not be? What a show.
What a show. I was happy.
I mean, Kendrick has got to put out an album. I don't know if you've been on TikTok or if you even go on TikTok, but on TikTok, that snippet of a song from the beginning of the Not Like Us music video is like so viral.
Oh yeah.
Like a combination.
You're talking about where he's wearing where the clown lets him in, and then
right before
he's
that.
wearing the white. Okay.
Yeah, he's in the hallway wearing the white.
Oh, that part. I don't even know what the context for that was.
I think
that wasn't the original song.
Yeah, right. I think it was just a snippet, a teaser. I don't know, but it was brilliant because already on TikTok, it's a combo of everyone like making videos to it like they would any hit song, but also people just saying like, you have to put out this song. Where's this song? This song, this song, this song. I mean, if he put that song out next week, it's instantly number one just because the buildup of it is already so big.
Yeah. You're talking about the preamble.
Yeah. Just the full version of whatever that snippet was.
Yeah, I think he's on a heater.
What happens to Aubrey? Who would have thought?
I don't know.
I mean, the biggest artist of our generation,
most streamed artist in the history of streaming,
right? And I don't know how. I would love to see it for the sake of entertainment. I hope he does it, but I just don't see what is the angle to get out from under the dog pile. And the fact that this guy is going to the Michael Rubin party and because to me, the immediate decision would be just stay out of the conversation for a while. Yeah. Go to Turks and Caicos.
Yeah. Just don't even place the bet.
Don't place the bet. Pause the deal with Steak.
Because look, I would suspect the majority of the Argentinian national team doesn't even speak English.
I know.
They're screaming, "They Not Like Us."
I know. Oh boy. Yep. Well, we'll see what happens. It's all great entertainment. My loser's obvious. I guess I'm a little lazy here. It's just Biden. And it's Biden specifically because it does seem like delusion and maybe arrogance and ego. And unless there's other things at play that we don't know. It's just a shame when you actually, not to get too hippie here, but when you actually take a look at like the good of the country and, you know, just the lack, the stability. I mean, there's so many people, if you just take all the other shit out of it and you say there's so many people that do not trust that you would be a great leader for this country. So much so that it is showing in the polls and all these different areas. It's not opinion, but you just insist on doing it. That's your ego getting ahead of what's actually good for the country. And I think it's a clown move. That's all. Content.
I just saw this on social before we started recording. A book for you.
Ooh.
It's called Never Enough From Barista to Billionaire by Andrew Wilkinson.
Yeah,
I don't know much about his career, but I saw snippets and it was like he met Charlie Munger when he was a barista and Munger mentored him. Munger famously is Warren Buffett's business partner in Berkshire.
Right.
And sounds like he was just a very shrewd investor. I think he had a media company too at one point.
Right.
But it's a very catchy title.
What's his name?
Andrew Wilkinson.
Right. Yep, there it is. I keep seeing it, and so I'm just going to buy it. Okay. Well, I'll do a book review. Mine is, this is not this weekend or it's not something I watched last week, but Joe Rogan, our guy, has a comedy special coming out on August 3rd live on Netflix. So number one, exciting. I don't think Joe Rogan's put out a special in a while. Number two, I just, props to Netflix for not only, like, they really did not listen to the protests and the anti-Dave Chappelle things and all that stuff. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, they actually made a statement that, hey, this is what we're going to do. And if you're not with it, then you don't have to be with it. Standing on business, as the kids say. They obviously had a lot of success with the Tom Brady roast, which was very not PC. And now, live event, August 3rd, Rogan live stream comedy special.
As much as I consume his podcast, I've never seen a snippet of his comedy. So I have no idea what to expect. I know he loves it and talks about it all the time. Yep. But I've never seen, even, I don't know why, since it never popped up. He locks up the phones probably. That's probably why, right?
Right, but he has specials on Netflix.
Oh, he does?
Yeah. But I will say confidently that if you like his pod, you'll like his stand-up.
I could kind of predict some of the themes.
Right. It is the themes you would predict for the most part. And it's also like the same style. Like when he's being funny, it's the same style. So it's not like he like changes character really or anything. It's just full funny as opposed to, fucking get up and grind hard.
The live in front of tens of millions of people is like a new phenomenon.
Right.
For comedy, at least.
Right.
Like obviously artists get streamed, but even the artists, they edit it. Like the Eras Tour movie was edited.
Yeah. Yeah. It's rare. Because to have that platform where you can potentially reach that many people is the crazy part.
But you potentially can get a little nervous, start fumbling.
Right. Because the other thing is, like, even if you had like a live event in the old days on TV, it's also then not available for stream directly after.
Yeah.
So you could have like a little gaffe or whatever, and like it's over. The event has ended.
Because even we've seen Chappelle a bunch live. Obviously, the phones are locked up, and there's times where he's like, "Fuck, what am I talking about again?"
Yeah. It seems like it'd be nerve-wracking. I mean, if you think about like this is going to be on the homepage of Netflix for everyone who opens their app, and then, like I said, like it airs or it's live, everyone's watching it, and then it's there to watch. Pretty wild.
Yeah, it'll be entertaining.
Yeah, I like that they're doing it though, because I will say I don't know what I'm doing that day. Hopefully this works out, but like my plan is to watch it like a sporting event or something, live. So it's an exciting. At least you can kind of look forward to it.
Yeah, for sure.
Love it. Okay, we have a shout out from Ben to his wife Barb. He says, I wake up every day wondering how I was so lucky to have you as my wife. Even though we bicker like Anand and Dee, married life aside, I'd still want you to be my best friend. Our family is truly blessed. She is a huge group chat listener and fan. That is so sweet.
Great.
Shout out to Barb. Thank you, Betty.
Shout out.
Also from Adrian, shout out to my wife, Kim, for being a great partner and mother. We have a 4-year-old girl and just found out we're having a baby boy.
Nice.
It's probably snip time for me. That's good. You have a girl and a boy, snip it up.
Snip, snip.
There you go. Congratulations. A lot of gratitude on these shout outs today. A lot of people very thankful for their significant other.
Yeah, a lot of nice people.
A lot of
Nice group chat listeners on both sides.
On both sides. Okay. Thank you for listening, everybody. We will be back on Sunday. Is Dee back on Sunday?
Yeah, he should. He normally gets back on Friday, so I assume Sunday.
Should be the three of us in the studio. Okay. I love it. Everyone have a great rest of your week. See you later.
Peace.